Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a book that's going to make you rethink everything you think you know about AI. It argues the real revolution isn't happening in some Silicon Valley data center, but in the world of pure math.
And really, this quote says it all. Disruption won't come from faster chips. It will come from mathematics itself. That's the core idea from a book called Mathematics of Disruption. And it basically tells us we've all been looking for the future of AI in completely the wrong places.
So to really appreciate how radical that is, we've got to first look at the story that most of us are being told about how AI works and how it gets better.
You know the one, right? You turn on the news, and it's all about this insane hardware race. It's all about who has the most computing power, the biggest data centers, the fastest chips. It's presented like this arms race of pure brute force computation.
But here's the thing. That whole story of faster chips and bigger data sets, it might just be hiding what's really going on. The book argues that the real story, the one that truly matters, is all about mathematical insight, about getting back to first principles and developing a much deeper understanding of how this stuff actually works.
And that brings us to this hidden story. It's a whole new narrative, and it's not coming out of Silicon Valley. Nope, this one's coming out of South Africa, and it completely reframes the entire conversation.
The book we're talking about is called Mathematics of Disruption. It's by a mathematician and the founder of Acalytica, Edzai Zvobwo, and its central message just completely flips the script. It says, flat out, that math, not machines, has always been the true engine driving AI forward.
And get this is what I love. It takes these huge, world-changing ideas and distills them into just 55 focused pages. So it's not some dense textbook. The whole point is to make these core concepts accessible to everyone. You know, entrepreneurs, students, leaders, not just the PhDs in computer science.
Okay, so what is this hidden mathematics that's supposedly more important than a supercomputer? Well, the book breaks down several key concepts, but let's just zoom in on three really powerful examples.
First up, you've got optimization. Just try to picture training a huge AI model. It's kind of like trying to find one specific grain of sand on every single beach on the planet, all at the same time. Optimization is the math that lets AI sift through trillions of possibilities to find the single best answer. And as the book points out, if you're somewhere where resources like electricity are tight, great optimization isn't just nice to have, it's about survival.
All right, next we have probability. Look, the real world is messy, it's uncertain. Probability is the language AI uses to deal with all that mess. It's what lets a machine make an educated guess, weigh the evidence, and, this is key, update what it thinks when new information comes in. It basically turns uncertainty from an enemy into an ally.
And then there's this incredible concept called anti-fragility. Now this is wild. It's the idea of building systems that don't just survive shocks and errors, they actually get stronger from them. We're talking about baking resilience right into the math, creating AI that learns from chaos instead of just falling apart.
But here's what makes this book so different. It doesn't just throw these abstract ideas at you. It grounds them in a really specific and powerful context, a uniquely African story.
So instead of a bunch of dry equations, we get to follow the journey of three characters in South Africa, Fundiwe, Sifo, and Professor Khumalo. Their story is how we actually see these big mathematical ideas come to life in the real world.
And this is where things get really interesting. Local challenges become the teacher. Take load shedding, the rolling power cuts. That constant reality forces you to think deeply about optimization and anti-fragility. I mean, how do you build a system that works when the power's always going out? The book even uses these great local metaphors, like optimizing a batch of vet cook, to make these huge concepts feel totally real and down to earth.
And all of this leads to a brand new framework the author calls Ubuntu AI. It's based on the philosophy of I am because we are, and it's a direct challenge to the typical profit-first model of AI we see. The whole idea is to design AI from the ground up to be about community benefit and shared prosperity.
So, what's the bottom line here? Why does all this matter? Why is this shift in focus from hardware to math so incredibly important for our future?
Well, it really all boils down to this. The book argues that hardware is becoming a commodity. It's getting cheaper, more powerful, more accessible all the time. But you know what isn't? Deep mathematical intuition. That is going to be the scarce resource of the future. That's the real competitive advantage.
And when you take that idea to its conclusion, you get to what the book calls mathematical sovereignty. It's this powerful concept that if countries and communities can master the underlying language of AI, the math, they can achieve true technological independence. They can build their own solutions for their own problems instead of just waiting to import them from somewhere else.
Which leaves us with one final and pretty provocative question. If the real race for the future isn't about who can build the biggest computer, but about who can master the ideas that make that computer smart, well then the playing field is suddenly wide open. The race isn't about chips anymore. It's about insight. And that changes absolutely everything.